All right. So thank you so much for joining in. Today we'll be talking about stakeholder and resources for PMP exam. We'll try to understand, just like we did for the last 2 days, about the 3, 4 domains. These two domains also, performance domains, we'll discuss in the same manner. We'll try to understand what these things are. Then we'll try to see what are the general activities so that we can create a mental picture around it. Then we'll talk about the processes that PMI talks about in PMBOK. And then we'll discuss about the exam mindset, something that you should keep in mind whenever you are answering questions from this particular domain. Right? Very similar to what we have done yesterday. If time permits, we will try to see the risk as well so that we can cover all the domains today itself. If not, if the time is more, discussions are accordingly, then we will discuss risk tomorrow, right? Depending on what the time permits. All right. So quickly, the introduction. First, we discussed about stakeholders. Stakeholders are basically anybody who can get impacted by the project or who can impact my project. Right? So when you talk about any person in the project, probably they will be a stakeholder. Why? Because they hold some stake in your project. Right? They could create an impact in your project. Now, what do we mean by stakeholder performance domain? What do we need to do? Stakeholder performance domain focuses on identifying, basically understanding who are our stakeholders, then analyzing what type of impact they can create in my project or how they will get impacted in the project, and then engaging, which means planning how we are going to communicate with them, how we are going to discuss with them, how we will show our product to them, how we will discuss their concerns and everything is called engaging. And managing individuals or groups that can impact or get impacted by the project. Basically, stakeholder performance domain is all about identifying, analyzing, engaging, and managing the stakeholders. If we do this well, we will be able to keep our stakeholders satisfied, and stakeholder satisfaction is one of the most important part of project success. Right? That's what stakeholder performance domain is all about. The second, resource performance domain, this focuses on planning, acquiring, managing, and developing the resources. And whenever you talk about resources, you should talk about two things. One is physical resources, the computers, laptops, machinery, equipment that you will need in the project, and human resources, the team members, right? Who can execute the project as per the plan. Right? So resources basically are physical and human resources, and resource performance domain includes planning, acquiring, managing, developing these resources so that they can deliver the project in the best way possible. Right? That's what we are going to discuss today about stakeholders, people who can impact our project, and about resources, people who will help us in the management of the project, along with some physical resources as well. Right? So just like yesterday, let's try to discuss what is the importance of this domain, which means if we manage these particular performance domains well in the project, what will be the benefit? See, if you handle stakeholders well, if you engage with them well, right, you will be able to reduce the resistance and prevent any late stage surprises. See, most of the times, what happens in the project? A customer would want you to provide something, right? They might ask for change. They might not be happy about something that you have done. So there will be a resistance created whenever you are completing the work if the stakeholder wanted something else. If you can keep the stakeholders engaged, you will be able to reduce such resistances. Right? Similarly, if you identify, analyze, and prioritize the stakeholders well, you will be able to ensure clear expectations and acceptance criteria with them. Not just about writing the expectations or writing the acceptance criteria. You would be engaging with them, which means you would be discussing with the stakeholders regularly and ensuring that whatever your understanding is about acceptance criteria, just a second. So sorry for that. Whatever your understanding is about the acceptance criteria is also the understanding of the stakeholders. Right? So if you engage with them regularly, again, engagement means communicating with them, sending them emails, calling them for meetings, having them for site walkthrough, demonstrating the product with them, discussing the plan, discussing the problems with them. Right? Engaging means regularly interacting with the stakeholders. If you do that well, your expectations will be clear. You would know what they want so that they can accept the product. The decision making will also become better because these stakeholders are also your sponsors, the management. If you engage with them well, they will understand what the product is. And if they understand it, they will be approving it faster. Right? So basically, it directly influences the project success perception as well. Keep your stakeholders engaged, your life will be easy in the project. If your stakeholders are not aware of the progress in the project, what is happening in the project, they'll keep troubling you. Right? So in order to have less headache in the project, you should engage with your stakeholders well. Similarly, with the resources part, if you manage the resources well, the benefit that you will get is you will have right skills and right assets at the right time in the project. Many a times you need to do some work faster. Many a times there's a lean period in the project, right? So at the right point of time, whenever you need to accelerate the work, whenever you need to push through a lot of work, you need to have right skills in the team. You also need right type of machines, equipments available with you. Only then you can push through faster, right? So if you manage resources well in the project, this is what would happen. It also helps in enabling realistic schedule and cost planning. If you know what type of resources are needed, if you know whether they are available or not, if you acquire those resources on time, if you manage those resources on time, you will be able to meet the targets of schedule and cost in the project. It also helps in reducing the conflicts that could be caused due to resource constraint. Right? Whenever you talk about team members, in fact, whenever you talk about two people coming together, there will always be conflicts. If you manage the resources well, you will be able to anticipate what type of problems they might face. And even before they face the problem, you will be able to solve it. It also supports consistent performance and productivity in the project. If you handle resources well, if you manage the resources well, if you say that, okay, these are the resources needed, you acquire them on time, you discuss what they need, you provide them what they need, you give them the infrastructure, you give them the tools, they will be able to be productive and they'll be able to deliver things on time. So basically, if you manage your resources well, you will be able to provide consistent performance and you'll be able to increase the productivity. Right? So idea is simple. Engage with stakeholders well, you will have a lot of clarity about how and what to be delivered in the project. Manage the resources well, and you will be able to deliver whatever the expectations are from the stakeholders. In either of the cases, you would need to have developed an interpersonal relationship. How do we deal with people? Right? When it is product, when it is machine, when it is equipment, when it is software, there are certain rules that follow, certain formulas that you apply. In people, no formula, no rule applies. Today, a team member who is very happy would give 100%. Tomorrow, if we had fight on the way to come to office, they will not even give 20% of the productivity, right? So you people are very dynamic. Today, one customer is happy, tomorrow they will be sad for some reason, right? So people are very dynamic by nature. You cannot apply rules and formula to lead people and deal with people. It is all based on your understanding, how well you have connected with them, how well you have understood what they might want, and then engage with them accordingly. That is what is called developing interpersonal relationship well in the project. If you can do that well, you will be, chances are more that you will be successful in the project. There's no guarantee, of course, but chances will increase that you will reach the success in the project. Right? That's the importance of stakeholders and resources. Now let us discuss what should we do in order to engage with the stakeholders well and in order to manage the resources better. First, we'll discuss with stakeholders. Right? As we discussed, the first thing that we should do is to identify who the stakeholders are. And when we say identify the stakeholder, that does not mean that it is just one-time activity. That yes, we will start the project and we'll identify all the stakeholders. Not needed. In the beginning, just identify some key stakeholders. Start discussing with them. You will figure out some more requirements. Based on that requirement, you will figure out some more stakeholders. Keep on updating your stakeholder register. Right? So whatever activities that we talk about, These are not one-time activity. Whenever you identify new activity, a new stakeholder, you will keep on updating those stakeholders in your stakeholder register and then keep on following all those activities for those specific stakeholders that we have identified. Right? So the first thing, identify the stakeholders, understand their roles, interest, and influence in the project. Right? Once you've identified any stakeholder at any point of time, the next thing to do is to analyze the stakeholders. Understand how much power do they have, what type of interest they have in the project, how much impact they can create, what is their attitude towards the project, and many other things. Right? But once you have identified that yes, this person is a stakeholder, let's say person A, then how much is their power, how much is their interest, what type of impact they can create, what is their attitude towards the project. Analyze them well. Because once you analyze their power, interest, and impact, you will be able to prioritize, right, among A, B, C, D, whoever are my stakeholders. Who is my topmost priority stakeholder? First, prepare an engagement plan for them, and then prepare for others according to the priority. Right. So once you have analyzed the stakeholders, next is to so sorry, develop the stakeholder engagement plan based on this priority. Right? That this stakeholder is highly powerful. They are highly interested in the project. They are positive towards my project. So I must keep them close. I must keep informing them about the project. I must talk to them about the plan. I must seek some support from them. I must keep them engaged a lot so that they can help me in the project. Project management is not a one-man show. It's a team game. You need support from every nook and corner that you can get. So you will plan your stakeholder engagement accordingly. Who can help you in what and how should you engage with them? What is their expectation and how should you engage with them? If you're only looking for seeking help, it will be a problem. You have to help them as well. So understand what they need, provide them that. Understand what you need and discuss with them and align that expectation. And that's what you do in stakeholder engagement plan. You decide how we are going to engage with these stakeholders. Then planning communication strategies tailored to the stakeholders. Right? Very clear that if I'm going to engage with these stakeholders, I must have a very clear communication strategy. How often do I have to share the meeting request? How often do I have to meet in person? How often do I have to do the in-group meeting, online meeting, something like that? What is it that I'm going to do or my team is going to do in terms of communication must be clear in the beginning itself. Right? Then whatever expectations that you have understood, manage that. Right? Update the documents, carry out the reviews, and ensure that your expectations are thoroughly managed throughout the project. Then, resolving conflicts and addressing concerns must be done proactively. You don't have to wait for them to tell that they are not happy. You have to identify it yourself. Keep engaging, keep meeting, and you will see that this person is not happy. Ask them what their concern is and resolve it. One thing. Second, anticipate what could be their concern and prepare for it. Right? So resolving conflict and addressing their concerns should happen proactively. As a project manager, we must carry out the works proactively. We don't wait for things to happen and then reactively solve it. Right? Anybody can solve the problem when the problem is known. But a great project manager would anticipate what type of problems might happen and prepares their team around it to prevent that problem from happening as much as possible. Right? Then monitor the engagement, right? You have planned the engagement, you have planned the communication, you are actually carrying out the implementing the plan. After that, keep observing whether the engagement was successful or not. Do you need to make any change or not? Make those changes. So keep monitoring and controlling throughout the project. Right? So identify the stakeholders, understand what type of impact they can create in the project, what are their expectations. Based on how they will impact, how you will impact them, develop a plan on how you are going to engage with them, how you are going to communicate with them. Right? Then whatever your plan is, implement that plan, which means manage the expectations, resolve the conflicts, everything. And then at a given frequency, at a decided frequency, keep monitoring the engagement throughout the project. That yes, whatever we were expecting is exactly what we are doing. If there is any variance, adjust your strategy and ensure that you are keeping your stakeholders engaged throughout the project. That's how you manage stakeholders, or that's how you engage with stakeholders in the project. Yes, Priya, your question, please. Yes, please. Sorry.
So I have two questions. One is, suppose in the question they are saying like I have a stakeholder who has a high power, but he has a negative impact on our project or negative interest in our project or something
Okay.
like that. So
Okay.
should we go and resolve should we what we should do, like resolving conflict and addressing concerns proactively? Is that the probably the solution we have to apply, or how we have to go
Yeah, yeah.
with
See,
this?
if we identify, let's say for example, we have identified a stakeholder. While analyzing, we understood that this person has a negative attitude. Okay.
Mm,
Negative attitude means they probably don't want us to succeed. Right? So what
right.
what should we do? First, we have to understand why is it so. Right? They must have some expectations which is not getting met. That's why they have a negative attitude. Right. So first, we need to understand why is it so. Then sit with the team, discuss what can be done, decide a solution, implement that solution. Now, if you see this structure, what is this structure for? This structure is for problem solving. So, a negative attitude of a stakeholder is considered a problem in the project. How do you solve a problem? First, you carry out the root cause analysis. Then you discuss the potential solution. Then you decide the best solution possible for the project. And then you implement that solution. After that, you check whether the solution was implemented properly or not. Right? So, whatever you identify as a problem, you solve it in the same manner that we have discussed for problem solving. Right? So this is
Okay.
what you will do when you have identified
So
that
so in the
somebody has a
question,
negative.
yeah. So in the question, suppose there are two options. One is saying discuss the stakeholders, discuss with the team how we can mitigate the risk. And secondly, suppose there is saying discuss with that particular or have one-to-one meeting with that particular stakeholder. Then what should
Hmm.
we do? What
See,
would be the
discuss with team
solution?
is your third point. Right?
Okay.
Understanding the problem is your first point. Right? So if the
So
question
I'll
is saying
go
that
ahead.
discuss with that stakeholder, which means you're trying to
Mhm.
understand the problem. That you will do
Right.
first. Then you will discuss with the team. Right? So it all depends on the situation. If the situation has already given you what the problem is, if they have already given you what the root cause is, then you will directly do the third step. But if they have only mentioned the problem but nothing in detail, but there is one option that is saying that discuss with the stakeholder to understand this problem in detail or to write down the problem statement, right? We'll always do the first thing first. So, first is always to understand the problem, right? Then you figure out the root cause, then you discuss possible solutions, then you decide one solution, implement it, and check it. Right? So answer to your question is that first you will discuss with the same person with whom the problem has arisen. Right? So that you have a good
Okay.
understanding of what the problem is, why they are not happy, why they are negative about the project. If you understand that well, you will be able to solve the problem better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Got it. And one more question. Sorry,
No, no,
just
go ahead,
to
please.
confirm, uh, uh, communication management plan is a part of stakeholders. It will be a part of this process, stakeholder and engagement, or it will be a
Yes,
part of
yes.
resource.
No, it is a part of communication, is a part of stakeholder performance domain. Okay. But those
Okay.
two are two different plans. Stakeholder engagement plan is different, communication management plan is different. Okay.
So, but
How
those
do you
two
understand the difference?
plan. Mhm.
Yeah. So how do you understand the difference in the stakeholder management plan? Stakeholder is at the center, right? So I'm preparing a plan for my stakeholder. How will I engage with them? Not the information. Communication management plan is where the information is at the center. How will this information be shared? How will this information be stored? How will this information be discussed? In stakeholder engagement plan,
Oh,
the stakeholder is the focus. How will I discuss with that person? How will I engage that person? What do I do with that person? That person is at center. Here, the information is at the center. That's the difference between stakeholder engagement and communication management plan. Answer to your question is both are part of stakeholder performance domain itself.
okay. Yeah, got it. Thank you.
Perfect. No problems. Yes, somebody else also raised hand. Please go ahead, Sonam. Yeah.
Yeah, Amit, I mean, I think you already cleared, but just to confirm once again, so when you said stakeholder engagement plan, here the focus will be on stakeholder. So
Yes.
it's like, I mean, we are kind of coming up with the plan, like how we are going to engage with the stakeholder, like, will we be sending bi-weekly reports or, one-on-one sessions or something
Yeah,
like that,
absolutely.
right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
communication strategies means, like you said, we will be sharing the information, like what kind of
Information.
reports we will be
Good,
sharing,
good.
right? That's
Yes.
what it is.
Yes. How the information will be shared, when the information will be shared, how it will be stored, how it will be
Hmm.
discussed, how it will be discarded, how it will be saved. All those
Okay.
things will be a part of communication management plan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
No problems. Yes, Shilpa, your question.
Yeah, Hamid, whenever the conflicts will happen within a team, okay?
Hmm. Yeah.
So there will be like in a exam, I mean, the recently which we have taken, I got
Yes.
confused. Like when a customer, means when the PM has to interfere and when he has to escalate, and what are the criteria we need to keep it in mind?
Hmm. See, conflicts always will happen between two parties, right? It could be two people or it could be two group of people, right?
Mm,
It starts with a difference in opinion, right?
correct.
A person A says, I think we should do one. Person B
Mm,
says, I think we should do two, right?
mm,
So it starts with one versus two, which is fine, right? Difference in opinion is never a bad thing to happen. We are just discussing which one is better, right? At
okay.
this point of time, the project manager's involvement is not needed. They will discuss the facts. Why this person will say why one, this person will say why two. They will discuss and they will decide one or two. It's a very good thing.
Mm,
This is where the collaboration is happening, right? Now, when they are not able to resolve this conflict at this stage, what happens is from difference of opinion, it becomes disagreement. Disagreement is like, I don't agree with you. I don't agree with your opinion. I don't agree with your opinion, right? Then it becomes personal attack.
okay.
Right? I don't like you. I don't like you, this person, right? It has just become worse and worse, keep on becoming worse, right? Then it
Okay.
becomes a group formation. What happens is this person will have their own group who will say, okay, young people are always bad. These people will have their own group. They'll say, old people don't understand technology. These people will say, young people don't value the experience. Right? So group formation happens. And at the end, they start fighting. Right. So
Okay.
conflict keeps on becoming worse with time if it is not resolved effectively. Right. At the first stage, the project manager's involvement is not needed. If the question is saying that there is just a difference in opinion and this and that, option will say that project manager will help them resolve the solution, or project manager should let them resolve the situation. Both are fine. Okay. However, if the question is talking about a disagreement, that team members do
Mhm.
not agree with the approach of working, then the project manager
Mhm.
should get involved. Okay, and they should bring facts into picture.
Okay.
Why not? Why do you not agree? Why do you not agree? What is your point? What is your point? Why do you think this is okay? Why do you think that is okay? Right. So project manager will ask right kind of questions which will help them resolve the problem. If it has become personal, definitely project manager has to be involved, or group or fighting. If it is group, then reassignment of task happens. Right? Because if the group formation happens, then there will be a gang formation in your project. Right. So you will
Mhm.
have to rearrange some of the assignments so that the people do not get the time to meet and form that group. If it has reached a stage where they have actually started physically fighting, then you will have to
Mhm.
remove one team completely from the project. Right. These things can happen and it escalates very, very quickly. Right. So my
Okay.
point to you, mostly what you will see in the exam is one question will talk about difference of opinion, that
Mm,
two people are having conflict and they have their own opinions. At that point of time, let them solve the problem or help them solve the problem. Okay.
okay.
Or they will talk about disagreement. At that point of time, get involved, ask right kind of questions and help them solve the problem.
Mhm.
Personal attack, group formation, or fighting, you might not see in the exam. If at all you see it, deal with it accordingly.
Okay.
Okay, that's how the questions are asked in the exam.
Okay. Okay, fine.
For
Thank
the
you.
for the January batch, it is still pending for us to discuss that. We'll be discussing this on Sunday.
Sure.
If the conflicts are happening on personal things and it has been escalated, can PM escalate it to HR? Not necessarily. See, if it is happening and it has escalated, whom has it escalated to? Is it escalated to the project manager? So project manager should be able to solve it. If the question says project manager has tried their best, yet they were not able to solve it, only then we will escalate it. Or if you see that they are repetitively making mistake in the question, if they are saying they are deliberately fighting, if those things are happening, then you can escalate. Okay. Or you can ask them to, you can fire them as well. You can remove them from the project if they are deliberately doing it, if they are repeatedly doing it, despite your warning and everything. Otherwise, not. Otherwise, you and your team should be able to handle the situations.
But
Any
you,
third party, apart from the project manager and the team, is very rarely needed. Very rarely. Question will very clearly tell you that project manager has tried everything, yet they were not able to solve it. Only then you will escalate. In every other case, you talk to the team, bring everybody together, discuss, you will be able to solve the problems. Yeah, someone was saying something. Please go ahead.
it's me, Amit.
Yeah,
So
Shiva, go ahead.
project manager will be having an authority to, remove people.
They can. Of course, they will be mentioning this to the management and everything, because removing people will also mean impact on cost, impact on schedule, right? So it needs to be informed, but yes, they have the authority to ask a team member to leave the project
Okay.
as long as they have managed the project schedule and everything.
Okay.
Perfect. So now let's move to resources. How do we manage resources? First, identify what type of resources we need. In human resources, how many engineers, how many planner, how many people for coordination, what type of welders, carpenters, electricians might be needed in the project. Those are my human requirements. Then some physical requirements, laptops, internet, electricity connection, water, food, these, that, other parts. These are all physical resources, right? So first we need to sit and discuss what do we need in the project. Okay. Then we define the roles and responsibilities along with reporting relationship in the project for all the human resources. Right? We also need to acquire those resources what we have identified. We discuss with functional manager. We discuss and suggest that these are the people that we need. Depending on the availability, functional managers may agree, may not agree. Depending on whether they agree or not, we will have to have some more discussions with them, and then we'll be able to acquire the resources. Right? Sometimes the resources might not be available within our organization, so we may have to procure. We may have to hire the resources from outside the organization. That's where we will carry out the procurement activities. Right? We'll also be developing a resource management plan and estimating the resources availability. Right? So we'll be talking about how we are going to manage these resources. How will we develop this team into the best team possible? We'll also be estimating what type of resources are needed in the project. Right? Then when the team members are working, we need to manage the team performance. And if they are having any conflicts, we need to resolve those conflicts as well. We'll also monitor the resource utilization. Are we utilizing them properly or not? Are we distributing the workload across the team members or not? Is it that one person is overloaded and other person has no work to do? It should not have that. We should not be caught in that situation in the project. Right? We'll also need to release the resources once the project is done or their responsibility is complete. Right? So in resources, you will see that you need to plan how you're going to manage the resources. You need to identify what type of resources are needed. Then you will need to acquire them, manage them properly, and monitor whether the utilization is being done in the best way possible or not. Once their job is done, you will need to release those resources. Okay, so there's something on the chat box. Monitoring resource utilization is something SM also does. SM is Scrum Master.
Yes, Amit.
Yeah.
SM
So
means
see,
Scrum Master.
when we talk about PMP, Okay. Whether we talk about project manager, we talk about scrum master, we talk about agile coach, right? We talk about maybe program manager, if at all they talk about it, right? They are all responsible for leading the team, right? So they are all a servant leader, everybody. So whenever we talk about whose responsibility it will be all their responsibilities. Only when, and it is very rare, I don't think you will see such question. You might see one or two questions in the practice just to ensure that you have a good understanding of difference between these roles. But in the exam, if they're talking about any of these leadership roles, the idea is that they are a servant leader. Whatever one person does, everybody will do the same thing, right? So who will monitor the resources? Project manager, scrum master, agile coach, program manager, team leader. They can use any other role or designation as well. Ultimately, it means that they are the leader in the team. If they are leader in the team, they are responsible for carrying out this activity.
Okay. But Scrum Master does not like bring the work or assign the work, right? So in case there is like resource utilization is not happening properly, so Scrum Master or project manager can what he or she can do here, like can reach out to
See,
product.
whether they assign the responsibilities or not, resource utilization is their responsibility. They are accountable for it. Okay. If you have 5 people in the team, somebody else decided that these 5 people should do this work, then it is still
Mm,
your responsibility, right? To
mm,
ensure that they are carrying out those responsibility. They are not sitting idle. They are productive, right? So whether I assign the task or not, I have to manage the utilization with them. Okay. Second point is that when we talk about Scrum Master, we are talking mainly about Agile, right?
mm,
That's why we don't talk about assigning the responsibilities and everything. Currently, we are discussing about predictive approach. So, assigning the responsibilities, deciding the roles and responsibilities, creating those
mm,
documents, creating the plan becomes very, very important. Right? While in Agile, we may not tell the team members what is to be done. Right?
mm,
Here, we distribute the responsibilities. We still don't tell, we don't direct. We discuss
mm.
and we distribute the responsibilities. Okay. So role wise, responsibility wise, accountability wise, it is same. Only difference is here we'll follow processes, and in agile we'll be just discussing and getting the job done. Because in traditional we are committed to the entire project. In agile we are committed
Mhm.
to just one or two things. Okay.
Okay. Mm.
Perfect. Yes, Neha, please, your question.
Uh, Amit, you said that the project manager has the authority to fire anyone, right? But you mean to say that we can ask or suggest, right, if there is an issue, but the
Yeah.
final authority will be of the management, right?
Firing from your project, you may say that, okay, I don't need this person anymore in this project because of their repetitive issue, they are not listening to me, this and that. But because you will be asking them to leave the project, there will be an impact on the project. The minute there is an impact on the project, you will have to seek approvals, right? So
Mhm.
never does it happen that project manager is taking the decision on their own, alone. Yes,
Exactly,
they
yeah.
have the authority, they can suggest, they can decide, but ultimately to carry out that work, they will have to go through the approval process.
Okay. And one more thing, defining roles and responsibilities, but what does mean by reporting relationships?
Reporting relationship basically means who will report to whom,
Oh,
right?
okay.
What would be your escalation structure in your organization or your organization structure, right? There will be a project manager, then there will be an assistant
Mhm.
project manager. There would be somebody in planning. There would be somebody for scheduling. There would be somebody for risk management. Planning, there could be 2 or 3 people, right? Scheduling, there will be one person. So this person will report to this person will report to this. That is the reporting structure.
Got it. Thanks.
Perfect. Any other question, anyone? Yes, Priya, please go ahead.
Can you explain about, I have two things to discuss. One is pre-assigned resources. What
Hmm.
is that? And secondly, we have one document, resource charter. I'm correct or
Resource
not?
charter.
Where
It's
we,
team charter.
right, team charter, where we mention the ground rules and can you give some brief on it?
Yeah, sure. So pre-assigned resources, as the name suggests, these are resources which have been assigned even before the project was started. Okay, so during initiation of the project itself, while you are creating the project charter, you have been told that yes, you would be managing the project and you would be managing the project with these people, with one or two resources, physical resources also. So they have already told you that these are the people who will work with you. You cannot do anything about it. Ideally, you would want to understand what the work is and then hire the resources accordingly. Right. But at the organization level, they have already hired some people. So whether they are exact match for your requirement or not, they would still be a part of your project. Right. Those are called pre-assigned resources decided by the management of the organization.
So it's mandatory for project manager to take those resources, right? For
Yes. Yes.
the project,
If you see
whether
that,
they
okay, they are absolutely not related to my work, you can discuss, you can have some questions, you can have some discussions with them. But the meaning of pre-assigned resources are that they have already been assigned to this project.
okay.
You may need to provide them training. You may need to provide them through go send them to multiple workshops and everything. You may need to handhold them. Right? Those things will be there. But the meaning of pre-assigned resources is that management has already assigned this person to my project, so they'll be working with me.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Second is team charter. Team chart. See, there is one document called project charter. Project charter is a summary document of the project, why we are doing the project, and what the project is at a very broad level. Team charter is opposite. Team charter is complete detail of the team member. There would be a directory, phone number, email ID, designation, this and that. There would be some ground rules, who will follow what. There would be some information about the team members, their responsibilities, what do we mean by success of the team. Each and everything about that particular team will be as a part of team charter, complete information. So if you're talking about any information of any team members, you will find that in the team charter. That's what the team charter is.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if suppose they are mentioning the, I'm asking the based on the questions which I have seen.
Yeah, I
So
understand.
if
Yeah.
they in the question they are saying like one team member is not doing or not following the timing in the project or something like that. So
Mhm.
there is an option saying that we have to analyze team charter. So what will be in that? Like what we will do in that way through analyzing the team charter?
In the team
Maybe.
charter, we will have the mention of what our ground rules are. How are the team members supposed to behave? Okay. If they're not
Okay.
behaving accordingly, then what should we do? That will also be mentioned in the ground rules along with the team chart. Right. So
Okay.
what are they supposed to do? If they don't do that, what are we supposed to do? Right. So that's why we will have a look at the team charter for guidance on what we had
Okay.
planned. That if somebody is not
So it's
adhering to
like
the
a
rules.
planning document, the way we have with some other
Yes, these are
planning.
all planning documents, a complete detail about
Mhm.
the team members, but it has a lot of information as well.
Okay, okay,
Okay. So
okay,
either team
got it.
charter or you will see something called resource management plan is also something that you can refer to. Whenever you see that some issue has happened with respect to the team members, you can also refer to the resource management plan. This also provides you guidance on what is supposed to be done.
Okay, yeah, got it. Thank you.
Yeah, Shilpa, your question, please. You are on mute if you're talking.
Sorry, I was talking on mute.
No problem.
I guess I was even I have remember that in one of the questions they were having the both the options like team charter along with the resource management plan or something like that.
Mhm.
So I think I have selected the resource management, but the ulta it happened like team charter was there. So I literally got confused. So which
Hmm.
one to
There,
select
there,
when?
there, there must be some information which is specific in that situation, because of which team charter is correct and resource management plan is not correct. Okay, there will be something extra. It is not only about the misbehavior or lack of behavior from the team's front. There would be something else also, which would suggest us that resource management plan is not the correct one.
And also, is it a good idea that we can show them if they are not performing the properly? Is it good
Hmm.
idea to show them like team charter may we have defined all these rules and responsibility?
Yeah, yeah. you should always discuss with them along with the plans that, hey, this is what we had decided in the beginning of the plan, beginning of the project. We have found that you are not following this particular rule. Okay, and it has happened multiple times. So this is my request, this is my suggestion, this is my recommendation, and you keep on doing that. So yes, answer is yes. You do discuss the rules, the policies along with the team members. It is always a good practice to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so that they can see whatever you are saying is actually the truth.
Okay.
Perfect. Now let us discuss the processes, which is again nothing but the same thing repeated one more time with some technical name of the processes. So for stakeholders, the process starts with identifying the stakeholders. Then we plan the engagement. Right? Once we have planned the engagement, we also plan for communication with the stakeholders separately. Whatever we plan, we need to implement. So after planning engagement, we manage the stakeholder engagement. After planning communication, we manage the communication. Whatever you plan, you implement and you also check. So after managing stakeholder engagement, you will monitor whether the engagement is proper or not. After managing communication, you will monitor whether the communication is proper or not. Right? So plan, implement, check is the golden rule of project management, especially in process. Whatever you do, first you plan for it. Whatever you plan, you must implement. And whatever you implement, you must check whether the implementation was exactly as per the plan or not. While checking, if you realize implementation needs to be changed, change implementation. If you realize plan needs to be changed, change the plan. But plan, implement, and check is a very, very important thing, important rule in project management. And you will see that in almost every process. Similarly, for resources, we have planning the resource management, estimating what type of resources we may need, right? Then acquiring those resources so that we have the team members, we have the equipments, machines that we need. After that, we need to lead the team for the human resources. And we also need to monitor and control the resourcing, which means we need to ensure that whatever resources that we have acquired are utilized in the best way possible. Okay, so these are my processes for resource management or resource performance domain. Plan how you're going to manage the resources, figure out whatever resources are needed, acquire those resources. Once you have those resources, lead them for success and keep monitoring throughout the project whether the resources are utilized properly or not. If they are not utilized properly, control, which means make changes and ensure that they are utilized properly. Yes, Sonam, your question, please.
Amit, in the previous slide, the stakeholder engagement one, can you go back, please?
Yeah.
Yeah, this one. So the first step is identify stakeholders, right? And
Yes.
yeah, so identify stakeholders consist of identifying them and analyzing them as well, correct? It
Yes.
is not a separate step.
Yeah. You see, it's not a step, it's a process.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And
I
in the
mean,
process, you will have multiple activities. One is
hmm,
identifying them, another is analyzing them, third is prioritizing them, right?
hmm,
Mapping the stakeholders in different categories. So you will do
hmm.
multiple activities, which is a part of this process called the name of the process
Identify.
is identify stakeholders. You will carry
Perfect.
out all those activities, everything that you need to plan engagement with the stakeholders will be done here itself.
Why I'm asking, because in the previous slide, you mentioned like clear steps like identifying and
Yeah,
then
those were the
analyzing.
activities that we were talking about.
Okay.
Okay. And these are
Hmm.
the processes that
Process.
PMI talks about. We just here, the objective is to just know what technically the process name is. In the
Hmm.
previous slide, when we were talking about the activities, the
Hmm.
objective is to create a mental model of what all things do we need to do in order to manage the resources or stakeholder well.
Hmm. Hmm. So
That
in the
that was
question, hmm.
yeah.
So in the question, if they ask about they have identified what is the next step. So in the options, if there is an option to analyze or if like planning the engagement. So what should we select? It should be planning stakeholder engagement because identify stakeholders consist of analyzing stakeholders as well, right? or we would select analyzing stakeholders? Because I've seen such questions and I get confused, so that is the reason I'm asking.
Whenever they talk about in the situation, and this is for everybody, okay, this is an important question. Whenever they talk about a situation in the PMP exam question, they always talk at the activity level.
Okay.
Okay. So when they say that you have identified the stakeholder, it only means that you know their name. If there's an option that says analyze their power, interest, and everything, you will select that. Okay. Now, it is very rare, but if it happens that in the situation they have mentioned that you have carried out the process, identify
Okay.
stakeholders, then you have done everything and you will go through the next process. And they're asking what will be the next process, right?
Okay.
I have not seen that question being asked in the exam, that what will be the next process. They always say, what will you do next? What should the project manager do next? What is the first thing to do? What is the best thing to do? Right. So they always talk about the activity. They will give you an activity in the question. In the options also, they're giving you activities. They don't ask you that you have completed this process, what will be the next process? Okay. Because exam is not a test of PMBOK, that book which talks about these processes. Okay. So they will not test whether you remember these processes or not. They will only test, can you logically identify what would be the next thing? Right. And logically, if I have identified something and I want to plan the engagement, I must know what type of impact they can create. And I'll come to know through that analyzing. Right. So answer to your question is that most of the times, I think 99% of the times, I can say 100 also, but I cannot guarantee anything, right? So 99% of the times, they will talk about a situation which is an activity, never a process. And then they'll ask you, what will you do next? They will never ask you, what would be the next process?
Yeah,
Okay.
they always.
Always think about activity and always think about A, B, C, D as also activities. Logically see what has been done. What should I do? Best thing is that whenever you are confused between two options, see which one is dependent on what. Right. So planning my stakeholder engagement is dependent on my analysis. If I don't do analysis, I will not be able to plan in the best way possible. That is why this is what I will do first. Analysis.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah.
Always at activity level, never at process. Great. Right. So now we will talk about the things that you should keep in mind whenever you are answering question from stakeholder or resource performance domain. First, it is a general tendency to think of stakeholders as customers, which is not wrong, but it is incomplete. Sometimes in one or other questions, it will be important for us to think of stakeholders as our sponsors also, team members as well, governing bodies, regulators as well. Right. So stakeholders are not only customers. They can be team members, they can be sponsors, our management, and they can be official governing bodies as well. Right. If you think about customers, there's nothing wrong, as I said. And you will be able to answer most of the questions, but maybe in one difficult questions, it will test your understanding whether you think of stakeholder, whether you think of team members, sponsors also as stakeholders or not in very difficult questions. So you should keep this in mind that when we talk about stakeholders, we are not talking only about customers. Okay. Second thing, when we talk about predictive projects, engagement is planned. When you are meeting the customer, when you are sending the information, when you are asking them for a site walkthrough, when you are demonstrating the product to them, everything is planned. In fact, in predictive projects, if it is not planned, you don't do it. Whatever you have to do, first you change the plan, then you do it. Whatever is supposed to be done in a regular case, first it will be planned and then it will be done. Right? So it is always planned. It is never ad hoc. That, okay, today let's call the stakeholder and call them for engagement, call them for meeting. We never do that. Okay. Second, communication must always follow the communication management plan. This is no brainer as such. Whatever you have planned, you have to implement. Right. Again, one thing that we keep discussing, always analyze before acting on stakeholder issues. Right. It again follows the same mindset. Understand, analyze, and then decide. Never the other way around. Never jump to decision. Never jump to action. Right? If the question is only giving you a scenario, first understand it. Choose that option which is talking about analysis, meeting with the customer, discussing with the team members, figuring out the solution, understanding the impact. These are your analysis. And then you take a decision, change the timeline, change the resources, reassign the task. All those things are decisions which will be taken only after analysis. Right? So keep this in mind and keep applying this in your exam. First understand, then analyze, and then decide. Whichever option is talking about understanding, that will be done first. Whichever option is talking about analyzing, that will be done next. Whichever option is talking about deciding, that will be the last thing to do. If in your options, all 4 options are talking about decision, then you don't have to worry about understand analysis. These are all 4 decisions. Whichever decision is the best for project, that should be selected. Otherwise, if in the options, one option is talking about understanding, one option about analysis, one option is about decision, and the question is asking, what will you do first? You'll always go for understanding first. If understanding is not mentioned, analysis first. Right? Always analyze and then take decision. Never ever jump to conclusion, because if you jump to conclusion without analysis, you will make a wrong decision. Okay. Also, escalate issues only when authority limits are reached. We had discussed this yesterday also, right? That question will tell you that project manager has tried everything, yet the problem was not solved. Only then you escalate. If the question tells you that the sponsor is very good in risk management and you have a risk management problem, will you escalate? No. Doesn't matter whether my sponsor is gold medalist in risk management. It doesn't matter. Now their role is as a sponsor in my project. My role is to manage the project. So I will discuss with the team, project manager will discuss with the team, and they will solve the problem themselves. If they are not able to solve it, then they'll go to somebody else. Right? Just because somebody is a good developer, now they are the CEO of the company, you will not ask them to write the code. Right? Or just because they are a good welder, you will not start asking them to carry out the welding. Hey, this is a very difficult welding. Dear CEO of the company, can you come and start welding the thing? Can you start working as a carpenter? They cannot. They will not, because that's not their role in this project. Yes, they may be very good at that. That does not mean that they'll start doing it. Okay. My responsibility, project manager's responsibility, is to execute the work. They should do it. Only when it has gone beyond their authority, somebody else should be involved. Right? Any question that talks about resistance from somebody influencing the result of the project, any expectations, any approvals, think about stakeholder domain. Know that they are talking about stakeholder performance domain. Okay. Last point, never ever ignore any stakeholder's concern. Any option that talk about ignoring things or continuing the work, they will not always say that ignore it. They will say, okay, the situation was there, now continue the work. Right? Not good. Never ever ignore anybody, any team member, any stakeholder, any supplier, any vendor, any government authority. You never ignore their concern. Yes, it could be a very silly concern. You will still handle it. You will talk to them and you will tell them that, hey, this is agile project. We don't create documents. Hey, this is traditional approach project. We create a lot of documents. You will have to explain them. You will have to resolve their concern. Never ever ignore anybody's concern in your real life project, also in the exam as well. Okay, that is about stakeholders. Any questions, anyone? Next is on the resources. What should you keep in mind when you are answering questions related to resources? Right? You may be habitual, especially people in IT industry, to call your team members as resources, which is not a good thing. I personally don't like calling the team members as resources, because it feels like you are utilizing them. So people are not supposed to be utilized or used. Okay. And hence resources might not be a good word to use for your team members. But the point is that whenever we talk about resources, we are practically very habitual to think about the team members. You should not think about the team members only. You should also think about the equipments, materials, facilities that you will be using in the project. Those are also resources, because that is what you will utilize in the project. Second, roles are very clearly defined in priority approach project. Everybody knows what their role is, what their responsibility is, through a document called RACI. Right? Responsible, accountable, consult, inform. Right? Everybody's name will be there. who the people are. Then there will be a task, or you can put task here, name here, it doesn't matter. Task 1, task 2, task 3. This person is responsible for task 1. This person is accountable for task 1. This person needs to be informed about the task. This person needs to be consulted about the task. Responsible means they will do the work. Accountable means they will get the work done. Informed means they only need to be informed about it. Consulted means they will support us in that particular task because they are the experts. Right? And because you put R, A, and C and I in every task, that is why it is called RACI matrix. Okay. Second, project manager's authority over resources may be limited in matrix structure. See, what happens is, in your organization, there may be a structure where 50% of work happens through project and 50% of work happens through operations. These are called matrix structure. Okay. In such cases, project manager might not have all the authority over the resources. Some resources they will have to borrow from the operations team. Also, project manager never demands a resource that, hey, this is what I need, give it to me. Right? You always negotiate. Hey, this is my project. For this project, I need a designer. I know that you have designer. I understand that you are busy, but can you, if it does not hamper your work, afford to loan this resource to me for 7-8 days? They will say, no, we cannot do it. Then you discuss, hey, this is important, this and that. You negotiate, right? You never demand the resources. Next point, training and team development are planned activities. It does not happen that, okay, we have faced a problem. Now we realize that team member does not know anything. Let's give them a training. You already understand, okay, these are my requirements. These are their skill sets. This is the gap. This gap must be filled by training. It must be planned in the beginning itself. Team development activities, Friday fun, outbound activities, whatever you do to develop your team, these are all planned activities. You don't do anything in a ad hoc manner in traditional approach. Yes, there will be a problem which needs to be solved. Right? For that, of course, you will have to solve the problem. If there's a fire, you will have to solve it. But most of the execution, 99% of the execution would be a planned activity that you are implementing. Right? If the question is talking about conflict, availability of resources, skill gaps, workload, understand that they are talking about resources in the project. Okay. Also, keep this in mind, replacing people is generally the last resort. Yes, I did talk about firing people as the project manager's authority and discussing with management about it. You can fire people, but that is generally your last resort. Why? Not because we are inhuman if you are firing, but because firing is a big trouble. When you fire somebody, you need to hire a replacement. You need to find out, you need to carry out multiple interviews. People need to come, they need to discuss, you need to understand, you will have to shortlist them. It's a big, big effort, right? So if you can train the person, if you can convince the person, if you can motivate the person, if you can lead the person, do it. If still they are not improving, then you can replace them or fire them. Always as a last resort. Always done at the end. So what does it mean for PMP? Very rarely. You may not see even one question out of 180 where you are firing somebody. You may see only one question out of 180 where you're escalating it to somebody else. Most of the times, you will sit with your team, understand the situation, analyze the situation, take the best decision possible for the project. That's what we do in project management. Right? If we have to summarize how do we work in project management, we understand, we analyze, and we decide for everything in the project. Okay, so this was the mindset for the resources in the project. Is it clear, everyone? Was it a good reminder of few things that we have already studied? Has it helped you in understanding traditional approach a little bit better?
Yes, Amit.
Yeah. All right.
Yes.
Then I think it's time. If there's a question, I'll be taking the question. But for tomorrow, we'll be talking about risk. Right? We'll be discussing the risk management in the same fashion. We'll try to understand what that domain is, why it is important, and what should be the mindset for the risk management. That will happen tomorrow. For now, questions. Yes, Neha, please.
Amit, I asked you yesterday as well a question that the scope management plan, it includes also the financial communication requirements as well, right? But my question was, we already have the cost management plan separately, right? So the difference is the depth of the information that we
The
include.
question I think that we discussed yesterday was not on the scope management plan, it was on the scope statement. Okay, these are two different things. Scope management plan will tell you how you are going to manage the scope, which means how you will identify the scope, how you will identify the requirements, how you will summarize it, where will you mention it, how you will discuss about it. Right. So scope management plan is basically the guidance. It does not contain information, what the requirements are and this and that. Right. Scope statement is a summary of all the requirements that you have noted down in something called requirement traceability matrix. Okay. So what we do in the beginning is we note down all the requirements. Then we summarize it and then we mention it in the scope statement. Okay. So now whether it is cost related requirement, whether it is uh, compliance related requirement, safety related requirement, all those will be there here in the requirement traceability matrix. Combining all those things will create something called scope statement, which will tell us what are we supposed to deliver, what are we not supposed to deliver. Right. So in the scope statement, you will not say that, okay, this is the cost associated with it, but your cost related requirement will help you in deciding the scope. Okay, that is why we mention it there. With regard to how we are going to manage the cost, will be there in the cost management plan for sure.
So yeah, so basically, we we mention it in the scope statement in at the summary level, right? Not in detail
Not in detail.
regarding it, whatever it is in financial or whatever
Right.
it is, the information. Okay, got it.
Financial things will be used to decide the scope. See, what do we mean by financial thing? Maybe that, okay, $500,000 will be used in this particular deliverable.
Okay.
Right. But then that in itself is not a deliverable. It has only helped me in understanding whether it should be a deliverable or not. Right. And the minute I have understood that yes, this will be a deliverable, I'll add it into the scope statement. So that money part or amount will not be mentioned in the scope statement. We'll only mention interior of a building, exterior of a building, furniture, this, that. That will be part of my scope. Okay. But how did I come to know that that is my scope? By understanding these requirements, which was there in my requirement traceability matrix.
Okay, thank you.
And Amit,
Amount wise, everything will be there in the budget.
But then what should we mention in the scope statement regarding the, you said that financial requirement also we can
Financial
mention in this.
requirements will be used to create this scope statement.
Okay. Can you give an example, I mean, to
As I
understand
said,
it better?
this, let's say, for example, that somebody said that you should be able to deliver the first floor using $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
So I understood that, okay, this is my requirement that I must deliver the
Oh, okay.
first floor in $500,000. Right. So now this first floor automatically becomes one deliverable for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I will say that, okay, first floor is a deliverable. Then I'll understand multiple other deliverables. Then I'll realize that, okay, total deliverables floor are total 5. Right. So one requirement helped me understand that, okay, there is a one floor. Other requirement helped me understand there is another floor. Then we understood that, okay, there are total 5 floors. So that 5 floors becomes my part of the scope. That yes, we have to build 5 floors in this project.
Okay.
So one by one, when you start going through all the requirements, you keep understanding what the project is, and you keep mentioning that in the scope statement. Understood?
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank
should I
you.
explain that one more time? It's okay, I can explain. There's no problem.
Honestly,
See, there is one. Okay, I'll explain in a different way. There is one requirement where somebody said that I need office space.
Mhm.
Okay. One person said we need pantry also. Somebody said that, okay, we need gym as well. These are three different requirements. They all talked about this requirement. They all said that this is the amount of money that I'll be spending. Somebody said 500,000, somebody said 200,000, somebody said $1,000, right? For the pantry, for the gym, for the office space. But what did you know? What did you understand from this? That, okay, there will be 3 floors, right? And there will be office space, there will be gym, and there will be pantry. That becomes a part of your scope. That yes, we'll be building office, we'll be building gym, we'll be building pantry, but we will not be building swimming pool because that is not a part of the scope. right? So by understanding these requirements, you summarize this information and you said, okay, we'll be building 3 floors in this building. That
Okay.
becomes
So
your.
basically, we have to just understand in regarding with the financial thing, but we don't need to mention it in the scope statement.
In the scope statement, yes. Scope only talks about the deliverables. What are we going to do? Okay.
Got it.
The financial things would be a part of your budget.
Okay. Yeah. Because I got confused that why do we need the financial information in
No, no.
the
We will
create?
look at the in the requirement traceability matrix. We will mention
Okay.
all those financial requirements, safety requirement, everything, and we will
Oh,
use this to define our scope statement.
okay. Got it.
Yeah?
Thank you.
Perfect. No problems. Yes, Priya.
Yeah, I mean, just one confirmation. Correct me if I'm wrong. Suppose I was going through one of the question where it was saying like we have to calculate SPI, scheduled performance index, based on the user stories. Like we have planned user story 14 and we have completed user story 30. So what should be the SPI? So I mean, in that case, my SPI will be 30 by 40, right? Or is it something else?
Okay. Come again. What have you done? Your user story,
Okay.
planned story point.
I'll read the question. I have a question in front of me. Is it fine if I read that
Can you
question?
send me the screenshot? I'll
Sure, sure,
respond to that,
sure. No
right? Because
problem.
that will be
Yeah,
better.
sure, sure. Yeah.
No problems. Any other question, anyone related to whatever we have discussed? Okay. If not, then tomorrow at the same time, same link, we will be discussing about risk. Because there will be only one domain, so it will be around 35 minutes, 40 minutes session. But please do join. It will be a good reminder for risk as well, with a hope and with a belief that traditional approach is now clear with all of you. Yes, there are certain documents that you must know. There are certain tools and techniques that you must know. I have given you all the reference of that. Okay. If at any point of time you think that you need a list of anything, you need any documents, you need to read something else, please let me know. I'll definitely provide that to you. Okay. For now, thank you so much for your time. I'll see you tomorrow.